What up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. It's your boy Kenny, joined by my main man Anthony over here, man. How you doing? Let the people know.
Doing great, doing great. Getting ready for a eventful couple of months and everything so forth. Getting
I
back to
feel you,
gear,
man. I feel you.
but
Same here, man. Just transitioning into new stuff and gonna bring in the last quarter of 2022 strong, man. Ending out the summer season here, guys. But as you've seen, we've
yeah,
been dropping a lot of stuff on the channel. We're trying to keep everything consistent. But as you can tell already from the thumbnail, we're gonna be talking about that big old She-Hulk premiere, man. She's here.
whoa,
It's
already.
dropped on Disney Plus today, man, as of the recording of this video right here, yo. And the premiere just came. It's going to be a 9 episode run, but we just got the initial first episode right here, my friend. And with no further ado, we're going to go through this thing kind of step by step. But before we do that, I just want to get your overall general thoughts on the premiere and everything like that and how it kind of lined up for your expectations.
For me, overall, with this show, I've heard a lot of mixed things about it already coming into it already about before of what they were gonna do with the show itself. Um,
Mm.
so that's why I think with everything coming up with the past with the Marvel TV shows, I kind of like keep my expectations kind of at minimum, not overhyping something like that. Except a character like She-Hulk, she's kind of pretty much an like iconic character, like back in the
Mm-hmm.
'80s when she very first
For sure.
debuted. So I'm not too familiar with her character. So this series overall, it's a great way for me to like kind of ease into her character, kind of see how she's gonna play out in the MCU. This episode, I enjoyed it. There is some positives. There's obviously some negatives too that I kind
Right.
of had from it, obviously. But
For
overall,
sure. For sure.
it's not anything too anything overwhelming or anything like that, right?
Gotcha. Not on a Book of Boba. We're not on that level yet.
No, not yet, not yet. Because
Excuse me.
I think with this
Spoilers.
one, it's just like the one episode, right? We
Yeah, so
only got
far,
like a small taste of it. So I want to see a lot more of what the character's gonna go through, obviously, and
definitely,
stuff like that.
definitely,
So it's something that I kind of want to be diving into a little bit more and stuff like that in the future.
definitely, man. But yeah, man, just giving some of my overall thoughts on it too. I definitely enjoyed this premiere episode, man. A lot of fun, for sure, for sure. A lot more positives than negatives. I only got like really like a few complaints with it
Mhm.
overall, but very strong introduction to our main girl, Tatiana Maslany's Jennifer Walters, man. I really like her so far, for sure. And her dynamic with Bruce was really fun. I really dug the chemistry there. She definitely fits right into the vibe of the show. And I dig the humor, and it's well balanced too. Like I feel like we're not running into that Thor Love and Thunder problem where the humor is just all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Yeah,
that one I feel
no.
like sometimes like it was like too much goofy shit going on as opposed to just getting to the story. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed the balance of the humor and the action and the tone and whatnot. And I like the fourth wall breaking. I thought they integrated that in here very well. And yeah, man, overall, I really like the premiere episode here and like what they're showing so far. Like you said, we got a lot more to get into, but I like what they're setting up here. I'm just going to be very curious to see kind of what the overall stakes are going to be for the show. Is it going to be more procedural, kind of villain of the week, similar to Flash season one for all my people out there that watched the CW back in the day?
Mhm.
Or is it going to be more of an overlying threat with a villain of the week kind of hybrid kind of situation going on? So it's
I
going to be interesting to see because she did almost run into that alien ship, as we're going to get more into in a second. So I am
Yeah.
curious: is there more of a threat? We know Wong's coming into this thing at some point, and that's going to be
Yeah.
within the first 4 episodes, kind of from the early reviews, so to speak. Abomination's in here. What's he been up to? What's his deal? We don't know yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this kind of ties together for the overall show as a whole. Is it going to be kind of that elongated movie or more of a episodic week to week sort of vibe? Kind of like
I'm
Mandalorian a little bit.
I'm hoping they are leaning into the episodic type of way of them going about the show, because like I think that's like
I
the
agree.
one thing they try. I think with a lot of TV shows, it feels like they could have just easily put it into a movie type of stake, and it kind of leaves you in that cliffhanger, which is not too satisfying.
Some
To
of them, yeah, dude. Like honestly, like at least, like we shit. That's actually a good topic to get into real quick before we dive into the show a little more.
Mhm.
She Hulk, that is. I definitely feel the same way with some of them. Falcon Winter Soldier felt that way. Um,
I would say
what was the
Moon
other one?
Knight.
What was the
Moon
other one?
Knight for
Moon
me for
Knight
sure.
too. It was like make it a straight up series or make it a movie. It was kind of like in a weird in between where I'm like
Yeah,
pick one or the other, you know? Like
I
that was definitely one that felt that way for sure.
because like I think that's the whole reason why I had like such a sour taste with Moon Knight because it feels like each episode wasn't as satisfying for them to conclude it
Mm,
out. And I
mm.
feel like if I watch it back to back, I'll probably have more greater appreciation for it possibly.
I feel the same way. I definitely want to rewatch that one before the end of the year. Like we definitely got to rank all the MCU shows now
Oh
that
yeah.
after like She-Hulk wraps up. We definitely got to rank all of them at some point on an episode because that actually would be pretty interesting to get into. Get like
Yeah.
another person on here that's maybe seen them all, like maybe get like a trio 4-person situation going on. But yeah, it'd be interesting to get into that because there are a couple of them that have been a little bit less satisfying. Like Moon Knight for me was enjoyable, but a little less satisfying than I was hoping. Not
Mhm.
too
Mhm.
much though. But yeah, man, like most of the series I have dug though. I would say What If was a little bit all over the place, but I still dug a good amount of the episodes overall, like really strong episodes, but not the whole entire thing as a whole. Hawkeye for me was one of my favorites so far. Miss Marvel was definitely a very pleasant surprise for me. Loki's still my
Yeah.
favorite. WandaVision's kind of gotten better for me over time, and I want to rewatch that one because that one kind of plays better for me now that we've seen it and kind of seen it contextualized with Multiverse of Madness and things like that. So I think on a
Right.
rewatch, binging that one through, I think I probably would dig that a little more than I did the first time. But Falcon Winter Soldier, I have rewatched and it felt the same way to me. It just felt like we could have made this a 2 hour movie and just simplified everything and just had Kyle Walker be the antagonist of the film and
I
have the
think
Flag Smashers be something that you handled within the first 2 acts of the movie and you get more into that conflict there.
I think that's probably been would have been the best way for them to do it. I think a
Yeah.
lot of the stuff from the shows, it seems like how we've talked about already in the past is this is the first time for them to actually touch the shows of anything at all. This is like
Yep.
last year was their first time touching like, okay, so we're gonna try to split this in however amount of episodes. And I'm hoping as time goes on, at like even after this phase 4 is done, like phase 5 and 6, when it comes to TV shows, they kind of have that foundation, that mark that they're looking for of storytelling and everything so forth.
I definitely feel like that will be the case because to me, in my brain, we're in phase one of TV shows, right? This is
Yeah.
about to get us. We're about to go into phase two with Secret Invasion and What If season two. So that's going to be kind of those defining things for me. But I feel like I'm with you on that one, man. Like I think the series definitely need to figure out how they want to integrate it a little more seamlessly in everything and just make it. And I think just make things more episodic. Like I think if you want to make like an elongated movie, just announce it as a limited series thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
just make it that if they want to do that kind of thing, because I think that works fine. I think Obi-Wan worked better as a show overall than as a movie would have. I think it gave it more time to breathe and it let him and Vader have a couple conflicts and things back and forth where I think they could have even doubled down on that more. So I think
Hmm.
sometimes the limited series is a good idea, but I think Boba could have been a 2 hour movie, you know? Like,
Easily,
that didn't
easily.
necessarily need
Yeah.
to be. I always said that, like, I always thought a TV show was kind of a weird thing. I always was kinda down for a movie if they wanted to do it, because you could give Boba a little more shine in a 2 hour fix, but I don't think he needs 6, 7 hours or 4 or 5 hours to do that, you know? And I think the MCU is definitely gonna find their groove with that in that respect, and I think She-Hulk's gonna be a good step in that direction. Because for me so far, this feels like a very well-tailored episodic thing that fits the TV format without feeling cheap, you know what I'm saying?
That's like one of the pauses I have for it. I think for me, that's something that I was kind of expecting from the previous shows already, but I
Mhm.
think right now they kind of had that already storytelling foundation already placed there with what we've seen so far. I think that's like the big plus for me when it comes to the show and everything so forth, and everything that comes along with it, like the how Mark and Tatiana is able to interact with each other on screen throughout the episode. I like their whole relationship at that point.
Love it, man. Like, I love their whole dynamic. If the series was really them 2 together the whole time, I would absolutely be in love with that idea right now. But it's
Yeah,
not, which is fine. But I would actually really love that at some point in the future, and if they ever do a Hulk movie, I hope it's a team up Hulk movie because I think that would be even funner than now I'm actually wanting to see a Hulk movie with them 2 because that sounds like a lot of fun, man.
yeah. I think they're what people are speculating with that spaceship. If everything is lining up,
Because you
I'm
said
here.
Sakaar, right? Like a Sakarian ship or something like that?
Yeah, and people are speculating that it might lead into a storytelling of World War Hulk in the sometime in the near future. Because I'm hearing next year,
Oh,
Marvel is actually going to be able to gain some rights back when it comes to Hulk being able to make movies and stuff like that as a character.
holy shit! Phase 6, yo.
It could be like Phase 6.
Because
That's what a
there's a
lot.
lot of unannounced movies for that shit. So
Yeah.
damn.
So there's like I think that's when Mark ends up talking about, or Hulk, Bruce Banner ends up talking about, like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to deal with that later. Right now, I'm trying to help you out." That's what it might lead to that pathway, but we won't really know
Oh
until
shit.
maybe D23 or maybe something throughout
Even
She-Hulk. We
later,
might,
yeah, but
yeah,
damn, that would be a cool little way to bring in Bruce Banner, introduce all this stuff, set up something for him to do in the future, and then move on with the rest of her story.
yeah.
Damn, that would be interesting. And then just make it villain of the week, episodic kind of thing. Hmm.
Yeah, because
Okay.
like, that's something that I seen, and I think when one of the trailers that got dropped and we seen the spaceship, then,
I think I
peop
missed that, dude. I didn't even know there was gonna be a spaceship. I was
yeah,
completely shocked. I was like, "What? A spaceship?" I was like, "Damn."
because like, I think that's what if I remember seeing the trailer, it was like that. It was like a quick sneak peek preview of, like, the whole them running into the spaceship, and they kinda went out of the way,
Oh,
and we
wow. I
fumbled
see. I
that.
didn't even see any of that shit.
But
Man, that's cool.
the only thing we didn't really see from the trailer, like, it cut off when, like, they were going down the hill, and that was it. We didn't see, like, how she got, like, the powers and everything
The
like that.
actual powers and
Yeah,
whatnot. Okay.
yeah, they cut it off,
Interesting.
like, right there at that point, but people are
For
saying
sure.
that, like, during that time frame, like, "Oh, the spaceship, it's most likely it could lead to a possibility of World War Hulk, and it could lead a lot more
Mm.
deeper." And what
Damn,
people are
that'd be
saying
interesting.
is, like, as a possibility that Universal and Marvel finally might come to the conclusion with the rights of the Hulk and
Damn,
actually be able
man.
to use them, because that's the whole reason. Because, like, for me, my negatives is, like, I really wanna see Hulk in, like, in actual his prime and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, like, Hulk right now for me kind of feels like not the true Hulk that we've been seeing, like, back in, like, the earlier phases, stuff like that.
I
I
do agree with you to a certain point, dude. Like, although it doesn't bother me as much as Hulk is not necessarily my favorite of the Avengers, but I
Mhm.
do agree with you to a certain point where I do feel like we haven't really gotten a lot of that true essence of the Hulk while developing his character at the same time. Where all the
Yeah,
development's good, but I feel like we do miss some of that classic Hulk action, Hulk interaction kind of stuff going on. In this episode, kind of tease a little bit of that we haven't gotten in a while, and I
yeah,
definitely want them to double down on that moving forward, man. Because with last time we really seen Hulk really beat Hulk was the beginning of Infinity War and Ragnarok itself. After that, we
yeah,
really haven't really seen true blue full on Hulk being smart and kicking ass. We really just seen him being smart lately, which is fine. But it's like, yeah, I kind of miss seeing that. So it's like I really hope they do get a World War Hulk situation going on, or
I'm
a
hoping
Planet
so.
Hulk situation that leads into a World War Hulk situation type deal. Maybe do that on Disney Plus, and then you got a whole Planet Hulk movie, and then you get World War Hulk, which is like a whole team up movie or even series. There could be a lot of great shit going on with that. So good
Easily,
eye on
dude,
that, man. I
easily.
didn't even think about it that way, man. That might not even come back around in this series. That's a good point, man.
I'm hoping so, because 'cause I'm, like, seeing his look,
Where
I'm
would
like,
it
"Why
fit
is"
in?
yeah, like, where and then, like, for me and his appearance, I'm like, "Why is he wearing glasses?" I mean, this guy has, like, all this strength. He has, like, everything amplified, and he's still wearing glasses. I mean, like, I don't think in the comics he's wearing glasses. I'm like,
I
"Get
don't
rid of
think
the
so.
hipster look. Get back to what we came to love with this character." I
I didn't
wanna
even think of
see him.
that.
Yeah, like, that's,
Uh,
like, the one thing that bothered me back in
that's funny
Endgame.
as hell.
When I seen it, I was
I
like,
didn't even think about that.
yeah, I'm like, "Why is
Uh,
he wearing glasses, dude? Like, I'm wearing glasses. I
so
don't have
funny.
perfect eyesight. He does, man. Come on."
Hey, he has Hulk perfect eyesight. He has human perfect eyesight, not Hulk eyesight. All right,
Oh
let's
my
just see even
gosh.
further.
Yeah, dude, like, I'm pretty
Uh,
pumped, like, after seeing that whole thing
oh
with him, but
shit,
yeah,
dude. And
but
then, yeah, man. And then once she gets the powers and everything, after the whole car accident deal goes down, she ends up running off and having a Wolfman moment, and then wakes up later on over there at my dream vacation home at the Hulk's new spot where Tony Stark set him up a whole lab and beach house and everything like that. And he's
oh,
telling Jennifer, my bad, not Tatiana, that it's
mhm,
time for you to start your training because now you're going to be a superhero. You're a Hulk, and you got to learn to control your shit. But Homegirl just slid into this shit like it fit on there like a glove, bro. she's got everything down, and she can go in between that in between state that he's had to fight and learn how to do over the last 15 years. So that was a lot of fun. And I love how she's all like, yeah, I'm just kind of better than you and shit like that. And he's like, oh, it's
Ah,
different. All right.
yeah,
It's
I did
different.
come on, like, that the thing is with me too, like, I wanted to see something like her kinda struggling with it, because like, her dissing out, like, the Hulk like that with Mark Ruffalo or Bruce Banner, because this guy's he's been hunted down by the
I
government.
know, bro. He's
He's
had such
been
a
away
fucked up
from his
path,
family.
bro.
Yeah, like,
She just
come
gets
on.
to turn into the Hulk and then just go back to her regular life now. He's
Yeah,
like,
like,
damn, I'm kind
and
of
then he
jealous.
yeah, and then that's what he's saying. He's like, "I feel
Yeah.
jealous of you." I think that was, like, the only thing that's the thing I really kinda don't like, but I know it for a fact that's kind of her character. She kinda has that smug
Innate
type
kind
of
of,
attitude.
yeah. Like,
Like, she kinda has, like, kind of like that attitude already throughout the whole
yeah.
because that's, like, how she kinda is. For me,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
that's why I couldn't really get to into her in the comics, because I kinda like more of, like, that uprising type of thing, but I know a lot of people do kinda like that, that kinda character and stuff like that throughout that whole, but for her, she's very sure of herself pretty much. She's very sure of herself,
Sassy
very
kind of. I don't
confident.
know if that's the right word. Like
In a
sassy,
sense,
sort
that
of.
sassiness to it, kinda like kinda, sarcastic,
Yeah,
more
exactly.
it's more like she's like kind of leading into that realm, and she's reason why she's like that is because she's a lawyer. Being a lawyer, you kind of have to be like that in a sense. You kind of have to
Yep.
have that reassuring type of confidence that people are looking for if you're going to be represented by a lawyer.
It's
I
true,
mean,
man. It's true.
you can
And the thing I like too that like but I like that like both make very valid points. Like he's like, "Hey, I get that you're like getting a good hang of this shit, but if you don't have control over your emotions at all times, even when someone really pushes you to the brink, you could end up killing or hurting somebody, and it's life or death if you make a terrible decision and make a split like or like make like a rash decision and hit something or throw somebody or do something, you could literally end somebody's life right then and there and cause collateral damage. And I've done so much of that. I've had to fucking carry that weight with me all this time. So I like that whole push and pull back and forth between him and Jennifer because they're the whole paths to this point of becoming a Hulk are so different. She's had all these
yeah,
aspirations to do something else in a whole nother side of the world that he's never had any interest in being. You know what I'm saying? He became that
yeah,
due to his interest in science. She got that from a freak accident and never had any aspirations to do any of that shit. But also as a woman, she's had to navigate her life differently too. Where I'm like,
mhm,
yeah, it kind of makes a lot of sense, bro. Like in the workplace and stuff, if someone's treating her differently because of that kind of stuff or is looking down on her because of that, she has to kind of internalize that anger and kind of hold that frustration in because if she tries to come at him a certain way, he'll probably just tell her to get the hell on out of there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she's had to kind of stomach a lot of things in a different sense than Bruce has in life and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense at a
mm,
certain point too. But I do
yeah,
think that she might have some struggles with this down the line if some real shit goes down where she really does flip out. So I think that's going to be kind of the deciding factor as things go on, where she really starts to go through those superhero trial and tribulations, if you will. Being a
mhm,
Hulk now, having to deal with supervillains popping up, and her gonna have to become a lawyer at a super powered, law firm as we've seen from the trailers. That's kind of where everything's leading to from the next episode on. So it's gonna be
yeah,
interesting to see how she navigates actually being a Hulk. Because I think right now she's just very sure of herself. I think some
mhm,
people I hope people don't get too caught up in that in this first episode. Like, I think there is growth that will come. She's just like Kate Bishop in that sense. Kate Bishop thought she had everything handled until you had to arrest your own mother who lied to you for your entire life about the whole reason of what happened and why your whole life has been the way it has ever since your father's untimely death at the point in which you got inspired to take the whole path that you're going on, which led her to have to take down her own mom. So all that stuff really plays well in there. So I think I would like to, like, I definitely want to sit back and wait and see kind of where that goes. Cause I think it
right.
totally makes sense for her to have that attitude right now, especially when looking at the way Bruce life has been. You don't want to really be a Hulk if you've looked at the way his shit's been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's been, like, fucked up. That's what I was
Yeah.
kind that's why, like, with this episode, like, I'm taking everything very lightly because it's the first
Yeah.
episode. Like,
Exactly.
you can't really,
Judge
like
shit like, oh, it's this definitively. Like it's one episode, dog.
yeah, like, you gotta give it some time to breathe. Like, maybe if it was still like this, like, in a couple episodes later, I'm like, "Okay, I kinda, like, I'm able to criticize it for what it
More.
is, a
Yeah,
little
you
bit
know what I'm
more
saying?
about
Because
it."
she should have some trials and tribulations being the Hulk or dealing with that double identity, even if she doesn't have a problem freaking out. I think it
Mhm.
should like there should be some trials and tribulations there in some fashion or form because being a Hulk is not just being normal. So it's like you got to give it a little bit of a difference. And I don't know her comic book arcs and storylines, but she is a fucking 8 foot tall green woman. That does change up the thing. People are going to target her. Things are going to go down. She is going to get mixed up in this whole Avengers esque type world because when Secret Wars goes down in the future, you're going to need all the help you can get. So it's
Yeah,
like
it's
things are
gonna be
gonna things are gonna come ahead. But I would like to see where her character is gonna go in the series. But everything so far with the whole training sequence and the whole fight with her and Bruce and everything like that and the whole conflict that they have, I thought was very well written and very well presented, and I thought it was very well done. And just the action and the CGI and everything, I thought was well done with the actual training and fighting scenes with him. I mean, with Jennifer and Bruce, I thought all that stuff was very well done.
yeah,
Really big
yeah.
improvement on the CGI too. Like 90% of the shots of She-Hulk in this episode to me looked great. It was just a few in the beginning and her transformation at the end in the courtroom scene I thought looked a little but all the rest of the special effects to me look good.
I think it did improve a lot. I would say like there is probably some like glimpses here and there throughout the show that
Yeah,
I did see. Like obviously there's gonna be something there because it's kind of like
that happens with the regular Hulk too. So
yeah, like
I think people forget that.
it's a for sure thing. I think the visuals are a lot more better. The training sessions, I was like I was on board with it. I was like kind of like okay, like I can get behind all that. I think with her master, I don't know. I found it like maybe we'll get more explanation about it later on about like how she's easily able to go in and out of it no problem and how her blood is able to heal
That's
Bruce
what I'm
Banner's
saying.
arm.
I already have a theory on that, dude. I already have a theory on that.
What's the theory for it? What's
Grab the
the
guitar, dog.
oh
Let me
the
go put my X
mutation?
on. I'm telling you, dog. Mutations, bro.
You
Right
think
there, man. I think, like I said, if it's not that explanation, it's fine. But I think that's a brilliant way to do it.
adds more into it? Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we already got some of that with Miss Marvel towards the very end of it.
She had, yeah, she already has a mutation, but can access this power of the newer from her genes. But she also has a certain ability, very Wolverine esque. He has the
Mm,
claws, but they added the adamantium. It's just an
right.
extension of what was already there. You know what I'm
That
saying?
which makes sense. And then like it's kind of cool. If that's the case, then I'm like, all right, I'll be on board with that one for sure. Because obviously everybody's different. Every person's gonna be
Exactly.
different.
So
And that's
that's
the
why
one
I want to wait and see what happens with her blood because I'm like, there's a reason why he is able to heal because of her blood mixing in with his shit. I'm like, there's a very clear thing going on there.
yeah,
Where I'm like, you see, like that's why I'm definitely kind of like, all right, I'm definitely pumping the brakes because if they really tie this around, like the writer and the director of the series, who I think is a Jessica Gao, who I think directs most of, if not all the episodes. But if the team behind this really got something really cool with Kevin Feige and everybody, and really kind of work that way in there, that could be really cool because that kind of reminds me of like almost like Dragon Ball Z, how like the hybrids have more potential to be stronger than Goku and Vegeta, like their
Mhm.
sons do because they got the
Oh
hybrid, they got the best of both worlds. They have a different way of they have a different potential they don't have just because of their genes. And I'm like, that with Jennifer Walters would actually really make her different and stand out from the Hulk without overshadowing the Hulk and making him less than. I'm like, that's the way to make them stand on their own. And I think
yeah.
that would be cool if it's well written. Then I'm all about it because I do think you don't want her just to be a female Hulk. You want to make these characters stand apart because I get the whole gender swapping thing that people have been kind of complaining about that they've been doing in Phase 4, or some people I've seen online saying that they just been kind of gender swapping everyone. And Ironheart's about to come up and all that stuff. Black Panther could potentially be a woman, obviously, or be Shuri or Nakia or Okoye, who's my number one choice.
Yeah, I but the thing is too though, it's like She-Hulk was already established way beforehand, like
Way before a lot of these
way
other
before
characters,
her
too.
yeah, like, so it makes sense more of her to be able to be She-Hulk. Like, I get
Hmm.
the criticisms and with the other characters, but She-Hulk herself is her own identity. She's already got
Hmm.
that established, I think back in the '80s where, like, I mean,
Yeah,
she
like
was
late
debuted
70s, I think, maybe early
yeah,
80s when she got her solo series, but I think she was established in the late 70s, mid 70s, I
yeah,
think.
like, I think it's been there for a while, but it's just, like,
Yeah,
now they're actually able to do something because now they actually got more access to doing shows and everything like that, and why not use her as a make her as a character for the show and stuff like that, introduce her to
exactly.
the
And
MCU.
you're bringing in those minorities, bringing in people of different things and different walks of life in a way that makes sense without harping on it or beating you over the head with it too, which I appreciate with this series where they do talk about gender things and gender identity and gender politics and just law and all that stuff. We'll probably be getting more into that as the series goes on. But I like how it's like it's worked in there in a witty way, not in a preachy way. So that's always very appreciative too, where they can address those things. That was a really strong suit of Falcon Winter Soldier. Race relations in a way that wasn't shying away from it, but it wasn't like throwing it in everyone's face constantly. Like it was very well done in that regard. So I think that political element that they're bringing into this show so far, first episode, I like what you're doing because I've seen it and I can identify with it even as a man. So I'm like, okay, this is the way you do it, where you make it from both sides of the coin and you don't like over exaggerate it or overdo it, like the Black
Hmm.
Christmas remake from 2019 or something like that, or like the Ghostbusters remake, where I think they kind of went very heavy handed with that back in
Hmm.
2016, where in like Jurassic Park, where they're like, oh, go turn off the power or go turn on the power over there. And she's like, dude, we'll talk about gender shit later. Let's just go turn the power on. We don't got time for this. There's dinosaurs running around.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes it's like none of that shit has to matter when we're talking about fiction. And that to me is where when you do it right, it's cool and you get to move on and everything goes on from there. But yeah, man, it's gonna be really cool to see just where they kind of take everything from here on out. And apparently Titania jumps in there at the end there when she's about to give her big opening speech. Jennifer is about to give her closing statements for the big
Yeah.
case she's been working on. Titania busts up in there, gets her ass beat in like 10 seconds. And I'm like, well, they've been talking about that actress being this character. So is that not the main villain? Is there like multiple villains going on here? Is there like a league of villains going on here? Like, what's your whole take on the villain aspect, the antagonist thing of the show? Where do you
Honestly,
think those things are going, and how'd you like this presentation of it here?
honestly, what was her name again?
Titania, I think.
Titania. Yeah,
Yeah,
Titania. Honestly, I thought there was gonna be more for her. Honestly, it was like
me
seeing like
too.
how fast she got handled. I was like, they
Wait, what?
had to. Like I kind of think that she's gonna be, from what I read, I think she's gonna probably be like the the villain. Like she's gonna be popping up throughout the episodes. I think we'll probably see more
Oh.
of her throughout time, along with other villains as well. But I think she might be the primary one
Hmm.
throughout the series. I don't know how they're gonna incorporate it with like each
Right.
episode. But for right now, I think well, she has like superpowers. She might get out and something like that within
Yeah, because they've
whatever
been
she
featuring
tells.
her a lot. She's been featured like that actress Jamila Jamel, I think's her name. They've featured her almost as much as Tim Roth, Abomination, and Wong. So I'm like, if she's like
Yeah.
the second or third most featured person other than Bruce Banner in them, which obviously he's in there, then I'm like, okay, she got to play at least somewhat of an integral part in here somewhere because she's almost in the freaking promotion as much as these other two, three characters. So she got to be in there somewhere.
She has to be because like that's because when I seen that like towards the end, I'm like, all right, so this is probably gonna be like that huge like battle. I thought they were not gonna really fight to the second episode. She's gonna
Me
come
too. I
in.
thought they were gonna go on that cliffhanger when she's jumping through the air. You know what I'm saying? I was
Yeah,
like,
then
oh
like
shit, cliffhanger, but nope.
she got bodied. I was like, okay, so I mean, she's probably gonna do come in sometime throughout like these next couple of episodes. We'll probably get probably
Probably,
some
yeah.
backcourt story about her, or she might, I don't know, play a part where Jennifer might be pinched, kind of corner in a pinch. Probably has to be dealing with her along with other villains because like there's gonna be like other little groups coming in
Yeah, you
to
got
also.
Frogman jumping in there. Saw him in the trailer. Very
Oh
obscure
yeah,
DF list villain over there.
yeah,
Uh that's the only there was some shape shifting as guardian looking person. So I don't know what's going on with that. But it's gonna be
exactly.
interesting to kind of see where these things go. But yeah, man. So if you had to score episode one overall, 1 out of 10, what would you give it, my friend?
And don't harp on me too much on this. It's gonna be in pretty mid. It's gonna be somewhere within the
Yes.
five.
No,
That's a, see,
I'm fucking
that's
around.
I know, but that's what a lot of people
Uh,
would say immediately if you
yeah,
say
I
something
know.
bad about it. I would.
Motherfucker.
You're a sexist in here. You're like, well, it's just what I
You hate women.
right. It's something crazy. I think I'm gonna give this episode a solid 5.5. I'll give it a solid 5.5.
Woohoo!
Like for me,
5.5.
and it's gonna and if, what it's gonna end with, what I'm doing with the whole rating system as the show goes on, it's gonna either go up or it's gonna go down. For me, it's a great way.
Oh, you're
It's
almost
a
doing it like teachers do it in school, bro. It's
yeah,
like you start like low and shit, like with certain things, and you go up higher.
yeah.
Ah, I see you, bro. I see you.
because there is nitpicks for me. Obviously, there is like for me, it's like that smug attitude that I didn't really enjoy, like her dissing obviously Bruce Banner, but we will see a lot more of her growth hopefully throughout this season goes on. But first
Yeah, and I
impression
get
for
you on
me,
that point too. Like, don't 100% agree, but I totally get you. Like, and you're not
yeah,
the only person that said that. So I'm like, that's definitely a talking point of the series right now. But it's like
hmm
I definitely want to wait and see how that kind of plays out because I feel like shit's gonna kind of come back on her a little bit. So I feel like that's kind of the trajectory they're setting up. But in a
yeah,
nutshell, it kind of rubs you kind of weird. You're like, ooh, damn, yeah, did you have to say all that to Bruce like that? Like,
yeah,
damn.
like that was like that was like the one thing I read. And I'm like, man, dude.
I was like,
But
woo.
I
I'm like, some of
that's
that shit's true, but god damn. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, and then that's why I was like, okay, so that's why I'm saying like the first episode I'm taking it lightly, but it is gonna be what it is for like the
Something
whole
you're
race.
keeping your eye on. Yeah, like okay, how much of this are you gonna how many times are you gonna diss my boy like that? You know,
Like
because
that,
because that's a guy we've been invested in already. You know, she's got to kind of earn that a little bit too. You know,
so
to kind of bust some balls and bust some chops a little bit. You know, Tony could do that. That's the guy we've been running around with. You know, forever. So he was
mhm.
able to kind of come in and do that, or like what's like another character that like Star Lord came in and like Thor's kind of giving him shit. You know what I'm saying? But we've had time to kind of get to know both those guys. So it
Yeah,
kind of makes sense that he has like that alpha male kind of thing above Star Lord. Cause I'm like, yeah, he kind of is more badass than Star Lord. So it
I
kind of
think
played a little better.
Yeah, I think it's just like for me when it comes to that, because like the Hulk is like he is trying to help her, but I just didn't like the whole like she's kind of like throwing it off to the side. Like Hulk's already been through it like a lot. He even got
It's
hunted
true.
down for
Yeah.
years on end. Like and her throwing up like you've been gone for all these years and you haven't been dealing with all this trauma. Hulk he dealt with it all. Like he was away from his family, hiding technically. If we're going back to like Edward Norton's like
Yeah,
pretty
man.
much. He's been hiding in Mexico, kinda, like, pretending he was a
That's
different person.
true. Right. He was in South America back then too.
Yeah, and then, like,
No shit.
he was struggling to talk, like, just he had to learn another language. He had to do all this.
Meditation, other languages, and that's
Yeah,
true, man. Like kind of
that's
like a martial art, like not what was it? Not martial arts, Tai Chi and shit.
Tai Chi. So, like, because, like, he had to, like, control his anger because he knows how dangerous it could be as him busting into the Hulk, and this is when he couldn't control it. So that's why I was like, when he was trying to explain to her, like, be very cautious of it. She's disregarding it. I was like, I mean, you really do got to listen to this to Bruce about
For
this one
sure, yeah, for
because like
sure.
he's been through it all. Like if you, he even said it like only you and myself has been who has this problem. So like if you have any questions or anything like that, you
Like,
come to me
door's
first.
always open, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think they're definitely setting that up. Like I think that's definitely the case for sure. But yeah, like
Mhm.
in a nutshell, in episode one, like it's definitely like a little like "Ooh, it's a little harsh, but
Yeah.
the fun dynamic that they both have and the love they share, I think that's what kind of saves it for me. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, if it was
That's for sure
all
there.
that, then it would definitely be like, okay, all right, guys, you're kind of fucking up a little bit. But
Yeah.
so
Like
hopefully they keep the balance because it's definitely like if you go too much in that direction, you're gonna make her unlikable, and you don't want to start a character out like that. I don't care what gender or race they are. You don't want to start that way.
oh
Ahsoka
no.
is very lucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
Right?
it's very you very cautiously to do it, especially with a
Yeah.
character like her.
Jar Jar never recovered. You know, so it's like you got to be careful. You got to
Yeah,
be careful.
but I think for me, like too, is like I mentioned it before, like the comedy for me, it's like it's a hit or miss. It's like for me, there's some things I did enjoy, there's some things I didn't enjoy. Then that's like that's comedy is such a broad topic. Like it could
Yeah,
be
for sure.
somebody's cup of tea, but not for me. That's why like I'm
Yeah,
not really
humor's
hard on
never
it
like a
too much.
main thing for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
unless
like
it's like nothing's funny, then I'm like, okay, what the, you know. But
yeah,
it's like,
that
yeah,
then
it's like
that's it's
then it might just be me if everyone else is laughing. But if it's like a comedy where nobody's laughing, then there's a discussion there. Yeah, but it's
yeah,
also subjective. I don't judge stuff too much on humor unless you're branding yourself as strictly a comedy, like a
yeah,
Seth Rogen movie. Like if I went to see Knocked Up and I was reviewing it, I'm gonna review it as a comedy. But this is
yeah,
more of a action law comedy. So it's like it's definitely the balance of it. But I'm totally with you too, man. Like most of
yeah,
the humor works for me too. Like there's a few jokes that didn't land, but for the most part, I liked a lot of the humor overall. It's gonna
yeah.
be but it's like you said, different strokes for different folks. So definitely not a huge deal.
Yeah, yeah, but those are, like, just the main ones, like, the fourth walls, I didn't really mind it too much. I
Yeah, I thought
thought
they worked it in good.
that's part of her character. I mean, like,
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly, and she did it before Deadpool, so people need to get their facts
way
straight out there too.
way before I remember reading something like that. I'm like, "Wait, what are you guys talking about?" Like, Deadpool came in afterwards, like, She-Hulk
Yeah,
came in, like
he came out the year we were born and didn't break the fourth wall till late '90s, early 2000s.
yeah,
So
yeah, I think that's what, like, a lot of people I think those are the people who harp on that are just the people who are just trying to find reasons to hate the show even more,
exactly, man.
and
Review bombing, just like they did Captain Marvel, man. We discussed it the other day, bro. Like people just
it's
gotta have an agenda when the whole program doesn't even have an agenda. It's like,
yeah,
jeez.
it's like before even they got released. I think we were talking texting about like last night. Like people are trying
Yeah,
to say all these negative things about it. I'm like, dude, we haven't even seen the episode yet. Like,
yeah. Like, come on,
calm
bro.
down.
Like,
Like it's not even released. Just like wait a little bit. Just like
exactly.
probably
Judge
give it
it
like
actually on what's there. Don't judge it on your preconceived notion of the film.
yeah,
They've done that with so many different things over time, man. Like it's just crazy, bro, how all that shit goes down. But I'm kind of around the same boat with you, man. Like I definitely dug this premiere episode a lot. Had a lot of fun with it, man. Like you said, just waiting to see kind of how everything's going to come ahead, like storyline wise, and kind of how things tie in there. But right now, I think it's a very good, solid introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a I think I'm gonna give it a 6.5. I'm gonna give it
6.5 for
6.5.
you.
I'm gonna
Okay,
adopt
okay.
part of your mythology there or your
Oh,
method
with
there.
with
Going
the
up
rating
as it goes up, yeah. Because I was gonna give it a 7, but I was like, yeah, I'll go 6.5 right now. So it's
6.5.
like a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
solid, like it's almost at like that good C grade. But I was like, I'll give it I'll give it a 6.5 right now. Really solid, but I think as things progress, getting into Daredevil, Wong, all this cool shit they have in store for us, and maybe even some surprises we don't know about, it could definitely rise. Excuse me. And if they definitely keep this up with Jennifer Walters, exploring her, taking on the Hulk and all that stuff, I think there could be a lot of fun to be had with the show. But we just got to wait and see how it goes. But off to a better start than I was. It's off to a little bit of a better start than I was anticipating. So definitely good in that regard. Not as high on my definitely not as high on it as I was with Miss Marvel, but I definitely dug it overall. But let us know what you guys thought about this premiere episode of She-Hulk down in the comment section below, guys. We're gonna have this over on the podcast feed as well. So make sure you download all the episodes over there for your listening pleasure. Make sure you follow all our podcast feeds wherever you listen to podcasts. We're available there, all the episodes and things like that. But we do got YouTube exclusives, guys. Trailer reactions, certain movie review series. We got the Kevin Smith View Askew review series we've been doing, guys, leading up to Clerks 3. I just
Oh
started
yeah.
doing a Brendan Fraser one because I've been on a Brendan Fraser kick, man. I'm gonna be talking about the Mummy trilogy back from 1999 to 2006, something like that. Yeah, man, we're gonna get into some Brendan Fraser movies, man. Got some fun stuff there. Got a couple good surprises for spooky season in the pipeline, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And me and my boy, we were discussing all our plans for all the content for the rest of the year, guys. A lot of
Hell
good
yeah.
stuff coming. That's going to be dropping. A lot of good stuff here on the channel. So make sure you guys don't sleep on any of that. And hashtag more cowbell. Click it. You're going to get that ring every time we drop some new episodes in your feed. But yeah, man, you got anything to say to the people before we peace on out of here?
I would say stay tuned, keep on going on with the subscription button, watch listen to it on Spotify, go on YouTube, look at the
Oh yeah, man.
exclusives,
We got our
and
first 50 subs, guys. First 50. The end
oh,
year
yeah,
goal is 100. Let's reach it, guys. Let's
let's
do it.
get it there, man, let's get it there, but other than that, I just wanna say just be safe out there, be positive, just get everything rolling, just keep that positive community going on about us and everything so forth.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. And once again, thank you to each and every soul out there watching or listening to this latest episode. We're going to have She-Hulk reviews dropping every single week, spoiler-filled discussions. So make sure if you haven't watched the episode yet, you don't come and watch this until you have. But until next time, guys, stay tuned. Don't sleep. Peace out.
Peace.